everybody. Welcome to another episode of the BrayneCast. I'm Shane. This is my co-host Taha. This episode is brought to you by Brayne AI. We help businesses utilize AI to automate their workflows, sales, funnels, and nurture their leads.
Thanks, Shane. Thanks for the introduction. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the BrayneCast. Today, we have the pleasure of speaking with Robb Costomiris, president of the Myome Group. Hi, Robb. How are you
guys
doing?
doing?
Hi, Rob. Nice to meet you.
I appreciate you guys having me on today. It always means a lot whenever I get to have meaningful conversations.
Yeah, definitely. We're looking forward to this. So, Robb, why don't you tell our listeners, for anybody that doesn't know, what exactly do you do at Myome?
So I appreciate that. We're a, a boutique private equity firm where we go out and we buy distressed assets across the continental U.S. and we fix them up and then we sell them off at a higher market value. Then we utilize debt and equity to help us get these properties to where we need them to be. We also use investors' assets as the equity portion of it and give them a nice little return for working alongside of us and assisting us and allowing us to use their funds.
That makes sense. How about your role in particular? Can you share a bit about your role and how it fits into the bigger picture at Myome?
Yeah. I'm responsible for the capital raising and the investor relations portion of the firm. I go out there and I find the accredited investors to invest alongside of us, and then I also will relay any information, any communications that need to go out to the investors on a timely or periodic basis, I should say. Then my partner is responsible for the acquisitions, the construction, and the dispositions of our assets.
Okay, cool. So, Robb, you said that you spent 21 years on Wall Street before moving into real estate. What was the moment where you kind of said, I'm done with this. I want to build something of my own, something tangible?
It was, I want to say it was in September or August of 20 or 21. I forget the year. I think it was 21. And I knew my time was up. I was burnt out. I was tired. I was dealing with financial advisors. I was dealing with regulators, wholesalers. I was trying to wrangle cats. That's like what I say. But it was a lot. It was a lot for me. By no means am I complaining. I'm just saying at the time, like I thought I was bored, but I've come to realize over the past year or so that I became burnt out in what I was doing. Dealing with the markets, dealing with clients, dealing with the financial advisors became a lot for me. And then I put feelers out to about 20 different people who I thought were connected, so to speak, just asking for introductions for people who needed somebody like myself or any, I call myself a Swiss Army knife. And then my now partner is the one who reached out, literally called me as soon as I texted him and said, I want you. I said that he couldn't afford me because I thought he was only doing 1 or 2 homes a year. Come to learn that he was doing, 10 or 12 homes a year. And his expansion was looking to go to, 20 to 50 homes a year. And then his vision for what the company was, what he wanted the company to be was something that I wanted to be a part of and help grow. My one thing was, though, I told him I didn't know real estate. He's like, that's all right. I don't really know capital raising except for the few investors that I currently have. So I need help with that. So we're both working hand in hand here.
So it was a good match.
Do you guys actually like hire contractors to repair the homes? Is that what you guys do? And then or section them into apartments? Like how exactly do you increase the value of the homes?
So we're buying these properties at a 60% discount. We have a proprietary technology that that Mark, my business partner, has designed, and it finds these properties that are coming to the marketplace, whether it's through the multi-state MLS or any other service out there that are coming up at a 50 to 60% discount. We'll buy them up. We're not afraid to get our hands dirty with foundation work and things of that nature. Or it could be distressed financially, meaning that it was foreclosed on and, it's got some liens and stuff on it that we need to clean up, which we have no problem handling as long as it makes sense financially. So, when you're buying it at that deep of a discount, The contractors we use are all local, to kind of answer your question, Shane.
Mm-hmm.
The local contractors, they'll go in there, they'll fix it up, slap a new face on the property, and then we'll put it back onto the marketplace at the higher market or the actual market value that it really is.
Nice. I actually came out of construction myself, so I
Oh,
am
nice.
familiar with the process of working with people like you. Actually, I did quite a lot of work. I dealt with mainly the outdoor portion of the home, like siding, roofing, landscaping, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I worked hand in hand with the interior guys as well. Often we were all part of the same contract.
Yeah, finding a good contractor is it's a necessary tool.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And there's few and far between
Yeah.
too,
But
in
when you
my
do find them, they
experience.
stand out immensely.
Yeah, and then you got to hang on to them, make sure
Yeah.
they're happy. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And Rob, you mentioned you're kind of like a Swiss Army knife. Doesn't it feel like as an entrepreneur you just have to be a Swiss Army knife as well?
Yeah. 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 But I feel like people tried to box themselves into certain situations, as opposed to, and saying, "Oh, I'm a master at this, I'm a master at that." Whereas, I don't like to say that I'm a master at one thing over another. Although I'm very good at sales, that's probably my primary thing. But it's I know operations, I know leadership, managing people, sales leadership. Um, Whatever we need to get the job done, let's get it done.
It's a
Yeah.
good attitude to have in business for sure, because oftentimes your job title is not necessarily the job that needs to get done, and you find yourself having to learn something new in order to make sure it's done. That's what I've found.
Yeah, you know what was crazy was I was reading somewhere a couple years ago that I don't know if it was in the UK or not. Let's not quote me on this one. I'm not accusing, but I read somewhere that you have to give somebody a job description of what they're going to do, and if it goes outside of that, it's not their responsibility.
Yeah, that's tough, especially when you're dealing with contractors. Contractors are the worst for that. Like electricians don't clean up after themselves, plumbers don't clean up after themselves. And it's all like the framer leaves a problem for the drywaller leaves a problem for the electrician leaves a mess for the general contractor. It's always that's not my job.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm sure you've noticed some of that going on in your projects.
Well, that's why a good GC is good to come by, because they'll be the ones to clean it up without hesitation, because they know that their jobs, their name's on the line. I shouldn't say their job, but their name is on the line to clean up both
Yeah,
properties.
for sure, especially if they're the ones in charge of hiring all the subs. So yeah,
Right.
that's a yeah. AI systems can actually help with the GCs actually their particular management systems, because it can send out and receive text messages, so it can keep up to date and keep everything on task and on time and on budget. Even it tracks everything for them. So we work with a few GCs that are finding great use from it.
Oh wow, never even thought about using it for a GC.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I guess you could use AI for any monotonous or redundant task there is.
Yeah, like
True.
tracking stuff like that. So there we have a system too that looks like, so a homeowner can be part of a general chat. So that in this case that would be you, then the GC, the electrician, and the AI tracks everything. Okay, why is this on track? Is this on time and on budget? No, why? And it distributes all the information accordingly.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, and it also tracks the budget itself to make sure like materials are staying on where underneath the point where they need to be, etc. You
That's
know,
huge.
yeah, because that's a big issue with a lot of general contractors, because they don't pay the bill unless they're under a very specific contract. But a lot of the time they pass the bill back to the homeowner,
Yeah.
and then the homeowner has to deal with well, the electrical went over by $10,000, the foundation, we didn't notice this crack on inspection, the landscaping now has to cut budget in order to stay under, which might hurt the resale of the home, or you can increase the budget. because there's obviously always going to be priorities like electrical, foundation, stuff like that will always be a priority. Roofing over stuff like landscaping that is kind of secondary. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So coming back to entrepreneurship, like for me personally, it sometimes feels like, you got to be a jack of all trades and then you're basically a master of none. And then another thing with us when, we venture into entrepreneurship, like you were saying, you felt burnt out, but then I don't know why we look at this path like it's gonna be walk in the park or something, where also that Dunning-Kruger effect comes in and we're going into uncharted territory, something we're not familiar with. And then maybe Rob, for you, making that switch over from the finance world and Wall Street into real estate, were there, some assumptions that you maybe had about real estate and they just turned out to be completely wrong?
Um, no, no. I always had an interest in real estate. I've always owned, not oh, I shouldn't say always, but on Wall Street when I started making money, I always owned an investment property or my own property or a combination of both. So I've always been intrigued by it. I made a huge mistake in my first investment property. I mean, it was just piling on after one mistake after another, and I got a very quick lesson in how not to do real estate real fast. Lost probably like 100 grand on this property, and my wife was complaining about it, rightfully so. But one day I woke up and I was like, no, no. I was like, let's not look at it like we screwed up or we did something wrong. Let's look at it like that was my education into real estate. Let's take that money and chalk it up to, I didn't get a certificate, but I now know what to look for in a lot of these properties. I know how to deal with tenants. I now know how to, one thing we didn't look for, and we didn't look for the rent, what the rental income could be on this property. So when we bought it, we didn't do any underwriting into it. We didn't factor into what our mortgage was and what the rental income would be. And it was proportionally different, not in our favor.
You learned $100,000 lesson. It's like getting a degree. Yeah,
Right. That's what I said.
how
Once I
entrepreneurs
said that to
learn
my wife,
everything.
she looked at it a little bit differently and never, I mean, she still complains about it, but she now sees the value in
Women will complain.
it.
So, Rob, walk us through a deal from start to finish. How do you go from acquiring a distressed home to placing a qualified buyer in it? And how would your approach be different from traditional real estate developers or house flippers?
It's not so much different in the sense that we've got it down as a system. We have, like I told you, we have the proprietary technology that uncovers these properties. Then it goes over to our analysts who'll review it. We got certain criteria that we look for that the computer won't pick up on. And once it matches that criteria or comes close to that criteria, we'll send an offer out. If the offer makes sense, then we move forward. If not, we just kill it, obviously. And then once we go into contract, then we get it. This is simultaneously a home inspector and the contractor to go out there. We have a budget that we can't go over, and then we send the contractor out there to make sure that we either come in line or we can actually negotiate it to where we need it to be. And then we also have a home inspector go in there, generally like right after the contractor goes in there, but it could be either way. And then we match it
Okay.
up with what the contractor says, because a lot of times when you tell your contractor you got a budget of, let's say, 150,000, he's going to cut some corners there. But we need to make sure that the foundation is good, the electric is good, the plumbing is working, and there's nothing wrong with the exterior of the property. So once everything matches up, then we go into then we actually purchase the property. We have lending institutions that we borrow a majority of the acquisition and all of the rehab, and then we get the investors to come in and invest in what I call the capital stack, which includes, but it's not limited to, closing costs, legal fees, and any carrying costs that the debt may incur. That takes us through about 12 months for the property, and then the contractors go in there. One thing that we do differently is when we go to sell the property, once it's all done, we list it with a local realtor, and simultaneously we'll also list it on our affordable homes website. And what that does is it'll put it out to all social media platforms, and it's looking for first-time home buyers.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get people in there that have never purchased a home before. We're basically kind of keeping in mind the monthly payment is what they're looking at, and we'll try and keep them within that. And if they need help with their down payment or down payment assistance, either us or the lender can, help them with
Right.
down payment assistance, especially with FHA loans.
Mm-hmm.
That's
So
cool.
that's a good look at your processes. And then for the buyers that you work with, especially the ones that can't afford a home, what are the biggest misconceptions that they have?
Well, they're usually not aware that they can get a mortgage because banks will say if you have a certain credit score and below, there's no way you can get a mortgage, but you can, especially as a first time home buyer. And as long as there's certain criteria not on your credit, and to be honest with you, I don't know exactly what it is, but you could have a low score for multiple reasons. And if you have all the right stuff on there, and there's just maybe one or two things that are keeping it down, we could help fix that credit and then help you get a mortgage. A lot of people automatically assume that you have to put 20% down to get a house, but as a first time home buyer, you can go as low as 3.5% down.
Okay, so to bridge the gap between, the homeowner and them not being ready, is it mostly about the credit or like education and financing or all of it?
It depends on the buyer. There's usually something in a different bucket for everybody, but someone might not be familiar with the credit, one may not be familiar with the finance that they could, the mortgage that they could take out, and then others don't even realize that they could get a mortgage. Just they've been at the same job for multiple years. They have decent credit, not great, but decent, and they could afford the down payment. They just weren't educated enough to realize that.
Mm-hmm.
Rob, we work with a number of different real estate agents in the States and Canada. Are you noticing a lot harder of a time selling homes lately?
We were up until the fourth quarter of last year, and they're starting to move now. They're
Okay.
starting to move a lot faster, but it's becoming more of a buyer's market than a seller's market where everybody's got to come to
Mhm.
you. So a lot of the buyers aren't moving on their prices. So I think if they just adjust their price a little bit, they'll be able to sell the property.
You think the
Does that
price
have
will go down a little?
Yeah.
Yeah.
does that have something to do with the interest rates of late? I know they're not probably not doing any more cuts, right?
Well, I mean, I don't know. They're supposed to do one this year, but who God only knows. But I think it's more of along the lines of these houses were going for godly amounts of money, and sellers were able to just not ask whatever they want, but people were overpaying for stuff, and now buyers have kind of been like, all right, listen, if we're going to be waiting, we might as well at least pay what we want. So we're not going to rush into things. So I think buyers are becoming a little bit smarter with buying.
What about the fact that like there's an increased amount of people and less homes to buy? Don't you think that would drive the prices up? I know it's been a continuous climb forever, really, in house prices, but it seems like it's just kind of, and then now it's here.
Yeah, and that has a lot to do with how the houses were selling. But if people are
Mhm.
anticipating that the market becoming a little more liquid than what it has been, um, people won't be afraid to wait or stay where they are for a little bit longer just to see what else is out there. Plus, if you're asking too much money for your property, people just won't take it. But yeah, the inventory has a lot to do with it. But I think people are just getting sick and tired of no inventory.
Yeah, and I've noticed also, like in America and Canada, there's more and more 30-year-old, 35-year-olds living in their parents' houses, just from the sheer pricing, like that they can't afford to buy a home these days.
Yeah, well, I also think that people need to start looking in different areas as opposed to, areas that they
100%.
want. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
the
Stay out of the
pricing is,
major
is is
cities.
what's that?
Stay out of the major cities, maybe more in the
Yeah, and
outskirts, smaller towns.
yeah, and instead of having a 10-minute commute, go somewhere where you have a 25 or 30-minute commute, and that could save you a couple $100,000.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Shane, what's interesting is I brought this up to Rob as well in terms of just the general house prices that we've seen over time, it's basically kept pace with the money supply. So COVID, there was a huge money printing that went on, and that's why we saw prices skyrocket. And then since then, we've basically been in a contraction. So we've seen steady prices, but now I think we're, going to start the money printer going burr again. So I'm expecting house prices to start going up in a general trend at least, because there is that correlation. I was looking at the graphs as well. It's, anytime money supply goes up, houses follow. Anytime it's contracting, they kind of stabilize. So if
It's
we
like a
start seeing,
market. It's like a stock market. It just corrects every now and again.
Well, that's what everything in the world works in cycles. I don't care if it's finances, if it's whatever with the weather. Everything works in cycles, and I guess I could put a tin hat on now, but you know, anything that
I'll
goes
join
up
you.
must come. What's that?
I'll join you. I'm a tin hat guy.
um, I learned this on Wall Street that anything that goes up must come down, and vice versa. And I'd always tell clients that you can't sit there and cheerlead when the stocks go up and then cry when they come down. You have to have one or the other. Everybody wants it to go up. That's obvious. I'm not sitting there, but the same thing goes with the real estate market, interest rates, the money supply. It's always works in cycles, and you got to let it, work itself out in one way or another.
so where do you see the first time buyer market going in the next like 12 to 24 months?
I don't know. I hope it becomes a little more liquid. I'll tell you that much.
I think we all do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But we
Okay,
have we
so
have one partner who we work with. He has a big real estate firm, but we get our small monthly, but we get a piece of every house we help him sell, a small percentage, like 2.5%. But
Uh-huh.
it could add up quickly if we start selling 5 houses a month, right?
Yeah. Tell them to
So yeah,
start putting them on the market now.
they're 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 out there. We just gotta get them sold.
yeah. So heading over to my home in particular, so you completed, what was it, 23 homes last year, and now
Hmm.
you're targeting 50.
Hmm.
So
Wow,
what's
that's
one of the biggest bottlenecks that's preventing that scale up right now?
Capital, money.
So you're waiting for the money printer?
Yeah, yeah. The money supply to come to us.
Yeah. So is the constraint more so on acquisition, uh, or just capital acquisition, or like construction or execution, or is it just like the
Well,
capital
the money
side?
comes on the acquisition side, and then it just flows down to the construction and everything else from that point. So yeah, it's the acquisition.
yeah. You can
Okay.
only have so much involved, and then you're tapped out, and you gotta wait to
Yeah,
sell the house and then repay everything and then start again. I guess, right?
yeah. Once we have the money, we have the projects. I won't say
Yeah,
done, but financially, it's done.
yeah. And are they
Uh,
progressively giving you more access to capital? Like, say, like you would, I'm sure you didn't start with that many projects. Like, has each year gotten more capital, or has it
Yeah,
just
yeah.
kind of?
The more. Well, the debt, that's the easy part to get. Anybody wants to give you debt, that's fine. It's the equity that's the issue. I won't say issue, but the bottleneck, if you will.
mhm.
Okay.
So in terms of challenges with schedule and budget, what tends to throw off projects most in that realm?
There's anything. Closing, permitting, construction. Did we do a good enough job? Finding what's wrong with the property, so to speak. Was the foundation what we thought it was going to be? When we open up the walls, what's in there? Then selling, and there may not be one major thing along the whole way. It may just be a bunch of little things, but they add up.
They add up? Hmm.
It could be one major thing. It could be a bunch of little things, but yeah, there's
Right.
Yeah, you can't see behind the walls. Like
right.
you can do the best inspection in the world, and there's always going to be little things that you can't see. And I know most guys in your position, they'll actually put like an extra 25, 30 grand aside for what if.
Yeah, we usually do about 10 or 12% just to make sure
Yeah,
that we're in line.
Hmm.
yeah,
How do the delays impact your relationships with investors?
Well, it's if you tell them 12 months and you come in at 18 months, you just look like a chump, which
yeah,
happens. It happens a lot. There's delays. On the flip side, if you tell them 18 months and you come in at 12 months, you're a genius. Or if you come in at 17 months, you're a genius. So
yeah.
it's just, it's about how you handle it. Number one, it's about how the situation plays out. Number two, and trying to foresee any unforeseen issues that could potentially come
Hmm.
up.
Hmm.
In the 4 years I've been doing this, or 4.5 years I've been doing this, I've been starting to tell people that instead of we anticipate all projects to be 12 months. That's our general time frame, but let's plan that your money's going to be tied up for anywhere 12 to 18, potentially 24 months, and it's starting to kind of play into the relationship much better.
Okay. So how do you balance speed versus quality versus the returns with your investors?
It's like a dance. There's no science to it.
Gonna walk the tightrope.
Yeah, there's no correct answer to that one.
Hmm.
Yeah, every
So
project's different.
would you say it's kind of on the fly, or is there certain things that you can plan for and you have
Oh no, it's all on the fly.
mhm. So what are the key metrics that you would track weekly or monthly to know that, the business is healthy?
Well, no, that's a great question. I don't even know that you stumped me on that one.
That's why we
Um,
have him here. He's the stumper.
yeah. I would say it's more of where we are with every project. Do we need where are we? Do we need more capital? Do we need more properties? Do we need And at any given time, we could be backed up with properties, and then 6 months later, we could be backed up with capital. So it's like give and
Mhm.
take.
That it's all about that dance.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. It's a dance. It's
Yeah.
not science. It's a dance.
Hmm. So do you know what that one number is that if it was improved would significantly unlock growth for my own?
Yeah, the capital. An untapped you know amount of capital coming in would be amazing.
Hmm. So if let's say you get that capital and everything goes right over the next 12 months, what does Myome look like? Do you reach that 50 house target, or where do you go?
Oh yeah, we'll hit our goal of the 50 houses, if not more.
Hmm.
Is
And
the
is the
goal the amount of houses, Rob, or is it more profit related? Like
Well,
and is
it's
there a
both.
bigger
you
vision
could
behind it?
turn if you could
Right.
turn a 30 house into the same profit as a 50 house and do less work, wouldn't that be
Right. Yeah. Well,
just as
that's what it is.
efficient?
But we were just going based off of what we were doing in the past, and then
Hmm.
if we stick to the similar types of houses, the pricing, where they're located, things of that nature, just up it to 50. But yes, if we're buying bigger properties or different types of properties, and they're either moving faster or have more return on the back end, obviously that makes sense. That'll make us happy as well.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Makes sense.
And do you see this as, a regional model, or are you confident that, this is something that can scale to become national?
Well, we're located in Westchester, New York, and our projects are in Pittsburgh, Harrisburg, Detroit, Chicago, Minneapolis, St. Louis, Indianapolis. So
You're
although
already
we're not
national.
all over the country, we're
You're national.
yeah, we're fairly national.
Hmm.
Yeah,
You're not in one
Well,
state. You're in
yeah,
multiple states. That would be
mhm,
national. To me, in my mind, you're already national.
yeah.
right. So what do you think separates developers who are able to scale from those who get stuck?
Just the ability to work. I'm trying to give you an answer, and
What about management?
yeah, I
Like,
mean that's a huge thing. And also another thing is communication. Being able
yeah,
to communicate what you're doing, and how it's working, good or bad. Nobody really cares if it's bad. There's always gonna be a bad at some point. So it's just a matter
Hmm.
of communicating it to people.
Communication within you, your team, and your
I was
GCs.
contractors, your
yeah, I was
subs, all that.
I wasn't just looking at one area or another. I'm saying, for everybody, you got to be able to talk to your contractors, your investors, people that run the office, the operations. It's a multitude of things.
Yeah.
Um, if someone's listening to this and they want to buy their first home, but they think they can't, what would you tell them?
Well, they have. I mean, I would tell them to take a look at their credit. Number one, not by
Mhm.
them. Have somebody professional look at it. Then take a look at what their potentials are, and look at FHA loans, and look at different properties that you could buy that would be in your range.
Hmm.
Like, listen, at the end of the day, it's about what your monthly expenditures can be, but that's not everything. Like, I know some people who just buy cars and they don't care how long the monthly lease is, or I'm sorry, the monthly financing is. Like, they can have
Hmm.
72 months or whatever it is. They'll just, I just want $400 or $500 a month, and they're not worried
Hmm.
about what they're paying for the car, which is wrong. You should worry about what you're paying for the house overall. Work in the monthly payment, make sure that works for you as well, and then go on from there. But monthly payment's the one thing you gotta look for, but you also don't want to overpay on the house or have a crazy type of
Yeah.
mortgage either.
Yeah, a
Hmm.
lot of people start with their monthly budget and then work backwards into a deal that is not really beneficial for them.
Right. Like, you want that should be a main component for you, but you also want to make sure that you have a good interest rate. You're not overpaying. You're not putting an exuberant amount of money down, and then overall the price of the house. What are you paying for the house? Because if a house is worth 1 million and you're paying 1.2, you're behind the eight ball right from the start. You don't want to have to worry about it, because when you go to sell it, if you can only sell it for 1.2, then you're only breaking even.
Mhm.
Which for some that might be good, but you know, most
It's
people want to
almost
try to
like
make sure.
saving. It's like
What?
saving in a bank.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
End up with what you started with, no
yeah,
interest.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, Rob, what's something about real estate investing that most people might get completely wrong?
It's not as hard as you think. Number one, and number two, you don't need as much money as you think.
Hmm.
As long as you,
Interesting.
as long as you have credit or somebody who could back you, you could you could pretty much do anything. Not anything, but you got to start somewhere first, and then build your way up.
And you can get that momentum going, get the ball rolling, basically.
Yep, yep.
Hmm.
Start with one.
That's it. It just takes one.
Everything's got to start somewhere with one
Yeah,
thing.
if you can get that one right, make a little bit of money, put that back into the your company or projects, and then keep rolling from there.
Yep.
What are parts of your business that are still more manual than you'd like them to be?
Mm, the getting the investors part,
Hmm.
but we're starting to work AI into it now, where it's doing some of the cold calling, but we haven't really gotten that down. We started it where it was scheduling meetings for us, and then now I've got it just it's getting the interest level out, and then we're sending out an introductory email, and then I follow up with it the next day. So
Okay, nice, nice.
uh,
Yeah,
yeah, AI is starting to help out, but it's not perfect yet, obviously.
right,
That's a
right.
lot of what we do, Rob. And not all AI is equal for sure. We've been at this for a while and have a great team, so maybe that's something else we could talk about later.
Yeah,
Yeah, could be. Yeah, I mean, sounds like, you're basically implementing what a lot of the partners that we're working with are seeing results with as well. So that's interesting. If you had to rebuild my own from scratch today, what would you do differently? Like maybe you would incorporate AI right off the bat. Like what would you do differently?
yeah, it
Wouldn't have
really
lost
wasn't.
that 100 grand.
Yeah, that was me personally. That wasn't. But yeah, yeah, but I don't know. I think start a little bit leaner,
Mm.
and yeah, AI would be a big factor into that too nowadays. Um,
Mm.
Finding properties, selling properties, getting investors, um, uncovering debt, things like that. Like it's all things that AI I think that the AI can do.
Mm.
Yeah, we
Yeah, I
actually have
think.
a system working for a real estate agent in Atlanta that attacks all the for sale by homeowners and all the expired listings. As soon as they become available, an AI system reaches out, secures an appointment, and the agent is able to get in there and try to close the deal quickly.
That's interesting. That's very interesting.
Mhm.
And I think me and Shane can relate to what you said about starting more lean instead of going gung
Yeah.
ho at it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, when we started this company, it's been about 15 months, and it took us 6 months of losing money before we kind of figured out what we were doing. And then we're running on, running ads
Running.
when we had no business running ads yet. We weren't ready for that before we'd even figured out our systems. So, yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Like
but you
me
also gotta
personally,
you
I
also gotta look
thought
at it.
everybody needs AI.
Yeah, you also gotta look at it this way. It's you know you gotta figure stuff out too. You gotta
Yeah.
try stuff. You don't know what works, what may work for you, may not work for me. What may work for me is not going to work for you guys. So there's different things that can potentially work, and you have to figure that out. That's my point.
Hmm.
Nice.
So, Rob, you kind of mentioned that, I mean, you're already starting to incorporate AI to make some cold calls. You were using it to book appointments. Are you still doing that as well? Like you're booking appointments with it, or
Yeah,
yeah?
yeah.
Okay,
We also have it going through our affordable homes, where when people click on an ad or they show interest in a property, the AI will call them up. It'll qualify them for credit score, obviously verbally, uh, their identification, and then there was one other thing that it gets from them. I'm not too sure because that's not what I handle
mm,
or I'm not even associated with. But and then it books them into an appointment to go see the property, and then gives them the code for the house and things of
nice,
that nature. So
nice. Okay.
How are you finding the response rate on that? Like how
I
many?
don't know. That's not
Okay.
that's not my
We
wheelhouse.
have
I don't
we have similar systems, and what we run is a lot of the times people don't answer the call, but an SMS agent will reach out to them and prime them for the call, and then they pick it up.
know. Yeah, yeah.
Just in case you're not getting a great response rate, that is something that
That's
we
actually that's smart. But I know they utilize both. I'm just not sure
Hmm.
how.
Hmm.
okay.
Yeah, kind of like do a tag team for that, which
Yeah.
will boost response rates because some people are more receptive to calls, some are more receptive to texts.
Yeah, like if I don't know a number calling me, I don't pick up. But
Yeah,
if I were to
me either.
receive a text saying, "Hey,
Yep.
this is Brayne AI. We want to get you into that property at 123 Main Street that you were looking at. We're going to call you in 10 minutes. Can you pick up?" I'd be like, "Oh, okay. Let's pick up." So
See,
100%.
that's it.
another little trick you can do, Rob, is you can program the AI to say, "Hey, this is Shane. I'm going to call you in 5 minutes." And then when the call comes through, it'll say maybe Shane. And then you'll think, "Oh, I know this guy."
Oh, really?
Yeah, man.
Oh, that's interesting.
Hmm.
So if it says the name in the text, that's when the phone picks up on it.
Well, that's when it'll show. So your caller display will say maybe Shane.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Because,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah, I'm
that's
sure you've
interesting.
seen it before on your own.
I have, and
Yeah.
I'm
So
always like, how does my phone know? How does my
anybody
phone know who
not
it is?
anybody who you've texted before and their name has come up in the text, your phone will identify that name. But if they're not saved in your phone, that's how that works.
It'll just say maybe.
Yeah.
Sounds like an Apple feature. I wouldn't know as an Android user.
I'm an Apple person, so I'm assuming Rob is too.
Yeah, but I'm exiting that as soon as I get a new phone. I mean, no rush to get a new
It's
phone, but
Yeah, I
done
think
with
unless
Apple.
we're gonna go back to the old flip phones, I think we're getting the same stuff no matter what. They're all
I know
stealing each
that's
other's
well
tech.
that was one of the main reasons why I switched. I mean, we don't have to get into this on this, but That was one of the main is they switched a little button over here. They curved the thing. It's like they're not doing it. The
Innovation,
phones
yeah.
yeah, the phones are all the same. It's no different. Everyone's
Yeah.
rushing to get it.
I don't rush for any new phone anymore. I used to when I was young. I was like, oh, I gotta get the new iPhone.
I know, I know,
Oh, I
I know.
gotta
I
get
think we
those
all,
new Jordans.
I think we all did. And if somebody says they didn't, that's a little, odd.
All
So
right. Well, I think we're getting close to our timeline
yeah,
here.
to wrap up, you mentioned where you could use some work with communication or reaching out to investors and those type of bottlenecks. How are you currently managing those processes, or are there
Manually,
plans?
myself.
Yeah, yeah. Do you think there's room to automate and use AI even for those?
Potentially.
Okay. Well, I think we could probably wrap up there. And yeah, thanks for all your thoughts and insights. I think
Yeah,
that
I
was
Yeah,
really
appreciate you
that's
both. Appreciate you both having me on. Anytime I get to
yeah.
talk
Hopefully
about
we
what
can
we
have
do,
you on again.
it's amazing. Hey, whenever you're
yeah,
ready,
Rob.
I'm ready.
Thank you very much.
we
You've
can
been a
get
great guest,
we
and
can get into the conspiracy theories if you want. Then
Yeah,
that's
for
that's
episode
up my
two.
alley. Then now we're talking. That'll be. I
I always
have
say,
one where I get into them. So
I always say, I am not a conspiracy theorist, but I do like a good conspiracy theory.
I always say I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm just right. Thanks,
I'm
Taha, and
all
we'll
right.
wrap her up there.
Thanks.